All right, hello everybody. I think I'm live now, so just let me know. Hello everybody. Sorry, this isn't going to be like everybody other's, stream where I blow the whistle or horn whenever somebody says hello. I obviously am not at the layout right now, as you can probably tell. I'm actually in my apartment in DC. All right. And this is also my first time going live, so I'm also dealing with the delay between the stream and what's happening. So I'll let a couple of more people get into the live stream. I originally said that I was going to wait till 8 o'clock, but the reason why I wanted to do this stream is I just wanted to thank you guys for 800 subscribers. I really worked my butt off for each and every subscriber, and I get really happy when I get one new subscriber. So yeah, and now I'm almost at 840, which just shows how quickly the channel is growing, which I am really proud of. So before I start diving into questions, I just want to thank everybody who's here. Is this Steph, Cross Anchors Railroad, Burnsy, O-Gauge and N-Scale Railroad, Matt's Trains and Tractors. Go check out his channel. His channel is really good. He's really starting to experiment with some new videos. Ian's Trains, hey, what's up? New York Rail Fanning, hello. Union Pacific 844 Productions. We also have my buddy Joe. Hello, Joe. Hope you're doing good. We have Darius's Trains and Things. Hello. Hamburg Rail Fan. How you doing? Mike from Cross Anchors Railroad. Hello. All right. So I already seeing a couple of questions. So I figured that we could just do a quick Q&A. I figured it'd be about an hour. I'm kind of swamped in the middle of midterm season, along with all the other life activities going on. So I just wanted to do this quick live stream here just to talk with you guys as a thank you for 800 subscribers. And don't worry, I'm seeing all your questions. So first up is Ian Strains. He asks, how do I control engines with the DCS Remote Commander? And I do what MTH doesn't recommend. What I do is I put both trains on the track and you operate them like you would in conventional. You have to make sure that they're both going in the same direction. The way how the DCS Remote Commander works is that any engine with engine number 1 programmed will operate on that frequency. So if you do a factory reset on all of your MTH engines, that'll reset them to engine number 1. And so when you hit forward on the DCS Remote Commander, all of them will move up one speed step. And it's not recommended by MTH, but I do that for my lash ups. I actually just upgraded to the MTH DCS system, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. Darius says he's always late for streams. Don't worry, I actually started a few minutes early. Hamburg Rail Fan, he asks, what's my favorite Alco locomotive? And so the Long Island Railroad was very well known for using Alco locomotives. RS3 is probably my favorite, even though I don't own an RS3. Also, the Alco C420s are beast. That's probably going to be the next Long Island Railroad diesel I add to my collection. Joe asks, what's my favorite Amtrak route poster? And I'd probably have to say the Southwest Chief, even though I have the Sunset Limited behind me. That's just because I have it fell off the wall this morning, so that's why I have it up behind me. But there are a lot of good ones. There's one I want to add to the collection. It's a Northeast Corridor collection because that's the only route that I've ridden up until this point. Joe, trains is more important than school. How many times have we been over this, RJ? We've been over that a lot, Joe, and that's why I'm going to graduate early, because trains are more important than school. And O-Gauge and N-Scale Railroad said that he just subbed to Matt's Trains and Tractors, and that's great. Love to hear that. He also has a great Instagram page. So if he wants to drop the link in the chat, that would be great. He definitely deserves it. Burnsy asks PRR or UP. That's a tough one, honestly, because the Pennsylvania Railroad owned the Long Island Railroad for 60 years, from 1900 to about 1960. So all of the Long Island's most well-known locomotives were PRR units like the G5 and the H10s and the H9s. So I always liked the Pennsylvania Railroad because of the Long Island Railroad aspect to it. But as someone who had a great-grandfather who worked for the New York Central, the PRR is a sworn enemy for life. So I would have to go with the. I really like UP, the way that they paint up the locomotives with the American flags on them. Huge fan of that, and I definitely want to pick up a UP locomotive just to have an American flag and to go along with my Bush funeral train. Ian says, thanks. I've actually been trying to find the remote commander for my layout. Ian, reach out to me because I'm getting rid of my DCS remote commander, so we can work something out. Definitely anything cheaper than what you're going to find on eBay. Or I'll just send it to you for the price of shipping. I don't need it. Reach out to me on Instagram, rj.trains, or Discord, or wherever. What's up, Rail Chief? Joe asked, why is the PRR the best full-on flag railroad? Because they own the Long Island Railroad. I mean, if it wasn't for the Pennsylvania Railroad not investing in Penn Central and then, their upgrade network, Penn Central would still be around today, and Northeast Corridor Railroading would be in a much better state. But, the PRR, completely destroying American railroading for 20 years is, water under the bridge at this point. Cross Anchors Railroad asks, how am I liking DC? I love DC. It's a great city. I like it more than my native New York City, even though, I live outside of New York City. DC is a great city, great public transit, a lot of opportunities here. Just with the election coming up, it's kind of crazy. Everybody's running around like chickens without heads. So it's going to get real crazy here the next few weeks, but, just got to take it one day at a time, one step at a time. Sawgun69, I'm looking to sell my K-Line Long Island RS3 and all related passenger cars. I just don't know how much to ask for them. It really depends on those passenger cars because, K-Line Long Island Railroad passenger cars go for a pretty penny. And K-Line RS3s, you're probably, you can search on eBay to see what the last one sold for, but you can also search on eBay to see what they're selling for now. You can price it whatever you want. It's just how quickly do you want to get rid of it. But Sawgun69, hit me up because I might be interested in those passenger cars and the locomotive. But who knows? Union Pacific 844 Production X. What do you prefer, 449 in the sunset colors, or black, or in the Freedom Train? I like it in the daylight because that's how I was originally introduced to it. When I think American Freedom Train, I think more of the T1 that's painted up for the Freedom Train. But a red, white, and blue train, you can't beat that. If I was a millionaire, I'd probably own every MTH bicentennial unit that they made. But then again, a black steam locomotive, there isn't a lot that can top that. But the 4449 in daylight colors is one of the few steam locomotives painted up colorful that I think that the railroad nailed perfectly. And it's great to see it still running today. What's up, Nathan Delay? Sorry if I butchered that. And Patrick Detweiler 2.0 asked, what is your favorite railroad and your favorite heritage unit? My favorite railroad is the Long Island Railroad, but it's not really a railroad anymore. It is governed by the FRA. So my favorite railroad is Amtrak, and if you're looking for a favorite freight railroad, Norfolk Southern. My favorite heritage unit is the Amtrak 42, the Saluting Veterans unit, but that's not a true heritage unit. For going true heritage unit, I really like the Norfolk Southern 1066 for the New York Central, and I actually have a model of that one. So, Bob, PRR, the standard of the world. Yes, they were until they got caught manipulating finances and causing bankruptcy. Oh wow, I'm really behind on the chat. I'm really sorry, guys. What is the worst railroad? Norfolk Southern, because they don't know how to handle Amtrak. Darius asks, what real arrangement do you prefer, 484 or 482, 484? Hey, RJ, planning any trips out west to see the Western railroads cross country on Amtrak? Yes, I am. I'm planning one for after I graduate in May. Starting in New York, Chicago, Seattle, LA to New Orleans, and then New Orleans back up to New York. It's probably going to be about 2 weeks on the rails, and I'm really looking forward to it because I've never been west of the Mississippi in my life. Hey, Sid, how's it going? Nope, not you, Siri. My Siri just went off when I said Sid. Joe asks, where am I getting music for my videos? And it's in YouTube Studio. They have a free music library of copyright-free music. I've been caught for copyright infringement a couple times on my channel for using copyrighted music. So I just go straight there. I don't have to pay for it. YouTube provides it for free. It's slim pickings. It's mostly electronic dance music, so I often find I'm reusing music, but oh well. Matty C. Trains, what's up, Matt? If there is one Long Island Railroad locomotive that isn't steam you'd like to see restored, what is it? Well, you got to go with Long Island Railroad RS3 1556 that's sitting there in Riverhead. That was used in the last day of steam ceremony in Hicksville. That's a real historic locomotive, and who knows? Maybe you'll see it one day. All right. Okay. Orange daylight. Do you live right next to a railroad? Nathan asks. No, I don't. Here in DC, I'm about a 30-minute subway ride away from the nearest rail fanning spot. But back home on Long Island, I live less than a mile from the Long Island Railroad main line. So as I'm lying in bed, I hear the New York and Atlantic Railway laying on their horns doing switching duties in my hometown. So that's cool. Burnsy asks, steam era Long Island Railroad or modern era Long Island Railroad? I would kill to go back to see Long Island Railroad with steam locomotives. When it comes to modeling, as much as I try to model what I see around me, there isn't a lot of models made for modern day Long Island Railroad. Of course, Lionel's made the Long Island Railroad M7 set every now and then, but I would much rather model Long Island Railroad steam. Rail Chief 74 says, are you planning on getting one of the new Lionel Daylights from the GS series? I'm not a millionaire. I'm not Eric Siegel, so no, I can't afford the Lionel Daylights. Also, I don't have the curves needed for those. I have 048 curves on my layout, and for those you need 072 plus some. They are really cool locomotives. One day in the very far future, I of course want a Daylight in my collection, but right now isn't the time. I'm focusing mainly on Amtrak, Long Island Railroad, stuff along those lines. Strictly Steam, how's it going? He asks, hey RJ, question, what is your favorite steam railroad? Well, Strasburg. If you follow along with the Model Train Talk podcast or Sid's, like you watch Sid's live stream, we talk all the time about Strasburg. Strasburg's where I fell in love with railroading with the Day Out with Thomas, and it will always hold a special place in my memory. All right, Joe asks, what heritage unit would you like to see Amtrak do for an ACS 64? If they could paint it up in the Pennsylvania pinstripes, do one in green, do one in brown, well, Tuscan red for the Pennsylvania Railroad, I think that would be the most fitting for an ACS 64. Hamburg Rail fan asks, do you plan on buying a G5? Yes, if somebody makes one. MTH has made they've done like 2 or 3 runs of the G5, only one with Protosound 3. If one comes up for sale and it's within my price range at the time, I definitely want it. That's going to be a locomotive I look for at York when the next one eventually is. But only in Long Island. I don't want a Pennsylvania Railroad G5. Bernsey, we're throwing NS under the bus for making Amtrak late. How do we pass up the fact that UP made them 2 days late once? Well, UP's made Amtrak, a few days late, a few hours late on many occasions, but NS, they are rated by Amtrak as the worst post railroad. 1-800 Clyde, he says, congrats on 800 subscribers. Thank you. Tim's Trains asks, someone needs a daylight to break up all the black on their railroad. What do you say? I would say I actually have a lot of color on my railroad. Long Island, I only have one steam locomotive at the moment. And, I technically have two, and one of them's green. So I have a very colorful railroad. Go to Gaming Act. Which do you like better, 611 or the Daylight? 611, just because it's a Eastern Railroad. Michael asks, DC Union Station or Grand Central Terminal? Which one's more awesome? It's Grand Central Terminal, and it's not even a comparison. You could fit 3 of DC's Union Stations to Grand Central Terminal. To this day, whenever I walk into Grand Central, my jaw just drops. There's no way that DC Union Station and Grand Central Terminal can compare to each other. They're in 2 different leagues. Owen asks, he's asking how everybody's going. Good to see. Bob asks, do you see a Strasburg steamer in your future? Yes. If Lionel makes one, I will be buying one. Preferably number 90. We were talking in our group chat that Blake, Matt, Sid, and Sam and I have that Sid's going to get 475. Matt and I are going to get 90, and we're going to make Sam or Blake buy 89 so we can do live Strasburg steam running session on one of our layouts. Yeah, Mike. Metka is making the G5 in O scale off of the Lionel 10-wheeler tooling, but I would have preferred it more if they just called it a G4. Then I would have looked at it more because it looks more like a G4. But they wanted to say it was a G5 so they can paint it up like the engine that's there at the Pennsylvania Railroad Museum. So, go figure. But not my personal taste, especially with the Pennsylvania Railroad pinstriping on it. I just don't think it looks good on steamers. Ian asks, what's York? And York is the largest O-scale train show probably in the world. It takes place twice a year in April and October in York, Pennsylvania. It was actually going to be not this weekend, but the following weekend, but canceled due to COVID concerns. I've never personally been there, but I've made a pledge with many of my friends in the hobby that we would all get together and meet up the next York meet, whenever that's going to be. Thoughts on 90's new paint scheme? That's from Matt. I prefer it in the plain old white Strasburg lettering, just because that's what I remember it as, because I remember seeing it 3 weeks ago. But the white-walled wheels on the new 90, white walls on steam locomotives, that's a match made in heaven. Burnsy says that he bets the legacy Strasburg locomotive will be in the next catalog. Oh, we hope so. We hope so. We talked about it in our podcast that came out on Friday, so go check that out. I really lay out my full thoughts, and you get a lot of good takes from Matt, Blake, Sid, and Sam. Joe asks, what's my favorite Western Fallen Flag Railroad? Northern Pacific. They had some cool locomotives. Also really like the Milwaukee Road and the Hiawatha. Now those 2 railroads really put out some good ones. I bet everybody was betting I'd say SP, but no. No, Union Pacific 844 Lionel has not made a 90. MTH actually had a Russian decapod tooling, which what 90 is, but they never decided to paint it up like Strasburg for some reason. Ian says MTH needs to release Amtrak Superliner cars again. Yeah, I've got my eye set on some MTH Rail King ones just so I have Superliners in my collection. But Lionel probably won't do them because they require new tooling. The Superliner cars that they did release probably would not hold up to today's standards. I'm hoping for some actual Viewliner cars from Lionel. I don't feel like paying $300 for a Viewliner car from Third Rail. Yeah, cross anchors. We had to cancel our plans for York, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, there's no show, so it's tough to go up to York. Um, Next one, I plan on going at and meeting everybody possible. Nathan, do you know the New Jersey Transit Pennsylvania Heritage Unit? My dad was a part of making the decals for that. I do know that, and that's actually a really cool story, Nathan. As I was just explaining to Joe earlier, and I was answering Joe's question, I think that Amtrak should paint some up like that, pay homage to the Pennsylvania Railroad. Um, yeah, Ian's talking about how he's only been to the Great Train Show. I've only been to 2 train shows in my life, surprisingly. They have like a local swap meet on Long Island. Um, Usually it's like every October, something like that, every October in January or February. And I'm always at school, so can't really go to it if I'm at school. But I did go to one in Northern Virginia last February, which probably was one of the last train shows before the world shut down. Oh yes, Tim. Yeah, nickel plate 765 with the white walls. The white walls just whew. But yeah, if I when I had the money one day, I'd like a 765. Just a iconic and beautiful looking locomotive. Yeah, Bernsey. They made a non-scale 90 with Lion Chief, and it was an 080. 90 in real life is a 210. So quite a bit off. I actually have whatever the first Lionel Strasburg Ready to Run set is. I actually have that with the coaches and whatnot. It's just it's a Strasburg set. It's not a realistic thing. Bob asks, did you plan your layout or did you build it as you go? What inspired you? Um, he's not here in the stream tonight, but he does pop in on my channel every once in a while. I really learned a lot from, like took a lot of inspiration from PGH Train Fanatics layout. Especially if you look at the way my town's set up and the way his is. I actually like watched his videos to see how his buildings were set up, so I could set my buildings up like that as well. Um, and of course, I drew a lot of inspiration from my home of Long Island. I wanted to give it that Long Island feel, but I also really enjoy the mountains of the Appalachian and the Adirondack Mountains, so I've always wanted to incorporate mountains into it, and that's why you have the backdrops that are mountainous. Kind of looks out of place having all these Long Island Railroad locomotives and a Long Island Railroad water tower and having mountains, but hey, it's a model railroad. I run my trains on 3 tracks. What are you going to do about it? So yeah, Sid says that the old Superliner toolings were destroyed. Maybe they pick up the MTH ones. Who knows? Lionel should make an N&W M class in Legacy. That would be a really cool locomotive to see. With these new brass toolings brass hybrid toolings that Lionel's doing, there's a chance we could start seeing more new toolings in the future, just at a slightly higher price than in before. Darius says, if Lionel did a 90 in Great Western scheme, I would go for it. And that's the thing, Lionel could develop a Russian decapod tooling, and so many railroads had Russian decapods because of the situation at the time. They built all these locomotives and all of a sudden couldn't sell them to Russia because of the Civil War. But they definitely have a lot of railroads in a lot of different directions that they could go in with a 90 tooling, not just Strasburg 90, but also Great Western and the countless other railroads that had Russian decapods. What Michael asks, what's something Lionel hasn't ever made but would like to see put into production? G5, Long Island Railroad G5. That's pretty high on my list. I would also like to see scale M1, M3, M7, M9s, not just the Lion Chief versions, but those will never come because of how unique that is to Long Island. They couldn't reuse the toolings. Strasburg Rail fan, have you ever heard about the attempt to build the new T1? If so, what are your thoughts? I have heard about them building the T1 Trust. It was a really ambitious idea. I don't know why they decided to choose a T1. Even with all the modern technology, the T1 was a very unreliable locomotive and had a lot of mechanical problems in its time. And it's a huge locomotive. They couldn't build a smaller locomotive. Right now, they're saying the completion date's in like the 2030s, but I'll probably have grown kids by the time that T1's done. Billy Joel did sing the New York State of Mind. See, that's my song, so Billy Joel's my guy. Hamburg Rail fan asks, would you rather see Long Island Railroad 39 running at the Strasburg Railroad or on the Long Island Railroad? Um, if I were to see Long Island Railroad steam on, if steam on the Long Island Railroad, on the Long Island Railroad main line, that would be an amazing day. It will never happen just because the MTA, and of course I'd like to see 39 running on Long Island, but as long as she's running one day, I think that's all. That's all that matters. Even if she's painted up like Strasburg, at the end of the day, she's a Long Island Railroad locomotive. O-Gauge and N-Scale Railroad says, I love the T1. It's high on my bucket list. I have hopes for a new real one, but it's probably going to be many years before it's completed. Yeah, I mean, it's only really happened one time before where you've had modern day people build a steam locomotive from the ground up, and that's a Tornado in England. That was a success, but you're also dealing with a locomotive half the size. Christopher says Lionel's prices are going up. On the one hand, I think, Lionel's prices are definitely going up. Just because of general inflation, money becomes less valuable over time. But now they're also the only people really producing O-scale trains, and especially O-scale steam locomotives. So I think their prices could go up. But they're also making technology a lot more affordable and a lot more cheaper. So I think it's going to balance out in the end. Joe says, should American University have a train club? Joe, I think we should, but with you graduating, I would be the only one in the club. So don't know where that leaves the club. The T1 was picked because it was unique and we wanted to beat the speed record. I hope they do crush it for PRR pride. They can keep building it. If it takes 40 years to build it, you got to hope that somebody's pockets doesn't dry up. Hello, Jason. Thanks for stopping in. Thank you. Just decided to put together this live stream just to chat with my subscribers for a little bit. Well, all right. Bob says there is a G5 on Long Island. Would they ever rebuild it? So there is a G5 Long Island Railroad number 35. That's at the Oyster Bay Railroad Museum, and they're cosmetically restoring that. I think that they saw how much it's costing to rebuild the number 39. They've been trying to restore 39 for probably close to 8 years now, and they had an agreement with Strasburg. If they could reach $1 million, then Strasburg would pay the rest of the cost of restoration. And 8 years later, I think they've only raised about $250,000. So it's going to be a long shot. That's where my first donation goes when I win the lottery. But I don't think that they'll ever restore 35. But it'd be interesting to get 35, 39, and 1556 all back together, because they were 3 of the 4 engines used at the end of steam ceremony on the Long Island Railroad in 1955. The other one was an RS3 1555, but that's been scrapped. Michael says Billy Joel's the best. Saw him at Nassau Coliseum in '96. I got to see him twice in Madison Square Garden. Hope to see him again. All right, we've got some Billy Joel love in the chat. That's great. Yeah, we did listen to him for 3 hours in the car on the way to Strasburg. We did mix in some train music, though, Joe, so. Bob, a rebuild of a Hudson would be more realistic than a T1. Probably won't happen, although I hope. I mean, I'd love to see a New York Central steam locomotive rise from the ashes, but unfortunately, because of New York Central management at the time and the dieselization of the railroad, they didn't place a heavy emphasis on preserving steam locomotives. Matt EC says 35 will be done long before 39. Sad to say. Yeah, 35's coming along. I mean, they're collecting bottle caps from kids in Central America, and that's what they're using to restore the thing. Interesting technique, but I don't know if 39 will ever be restored. Maybe if all of Strasburg locomotives go bad, then they'll consider storing it out of their own pocket. But as of right now, it's just sitting there on a storage track. I pointed it out in my Strasburg video, so go check that out. Bob says, if you hit the lottery, you can buy a G5 and then rebuild it yourself. That's the plan. I'll buy 50 G5s just like the Long Island Railroad had. Tim, who's to say it will run more than once? Remember how long? Remember the people who restored 1361 in the 80s, ran it once and never ran it again because they messed something up. That will happen with the T1. You'd hope with the amount of time and money they're spending on it, they're better than that. But as we were talking, I was talking the other day with some of my friends. The T1 was very well known for its wheel slip, and even some of the best engineers on the Pennsylvania Railroad had problems with wheel slippage on the T1. And if you're going to have people who, there's only a small handful of people who've operated steam locomotives in this country now, and really, it's only the people with who've experience on the big boy would have experience with a locomotive like that. And even then, still very prone to wheel slippage, which could be very bad in the event it's hauling passengers and whatnot. Michael asks, have I ever been to the Danbury Railroad Museum? Great Northeast Railroad collection. They actually have some Long Island Railroad stuff. I haven't made it there yet. I'm not a big I'm not really a big New England guy, but I definitely want to make it there. Do a great Northeast railroading tour with some of the scenic railroads up there as well. Yeah, Burnsy. It's being built from the ground up. But at the end of the day, it's still a huge locomotive, and it's still a huge locomotive, and you hope that it doesn't wheel slip, but at the end of the day, you have forces of gravity that still do what they please, no matter how much modern technology you have. Dingus McGee says, what are your thoughts on the car floats and railroad tugs? Would you ever consider modeling something like that? In a heartbeat. If I had the room for it, I would build it. I actually have a Brooklyn East District Terminal 060 switcher from Lionel on pre-order just because Brooklyn, Long Island, the whole 9 yards. And what a lot of people don't realize is that the Long Island Railroad brought their locomotives across the Hudson on barges. They didn't take them up into New Haven territory, back them down over the Hellgate, and then that connected with the Long Island Railroad. Put them on floats. And to this day in Brooklyn, there's still a huge bridge where the car floats would dock that says Long Island on it. It's really quite neat, and that would be something I'd want to model. But car floats are awesome. I would love modeling something like that. And the Train Masters of Babylon in Farmingdale, they actually have a car float. That's really cool. Matt says, if 90 and 475 both need annual inspections, 89 would not be able to handle everything by itself, so they would have no choice but to put 39 in production. But hey, we can dream. Yeah, and they've also got other ones. When I was there a couple weeks ago, 31, their 060 or whatever it is, 080. Pretty sure it's an 060. They are they're almost done restoring that one. They just don't have the time to do it between all the projects that they have for other railroads. Ian asks, what's your opinion on Lion Chief 2.0 AC-12 cab forward? Well, on Lion Chief 2.0 and Lion Chief as a whole, I'm in the works of putting together this video. And long story short, it's called Lion Chief, Lionel's Most Successful Failure. And I won't go too much into it at this because I want you guys to watch the video in the future. But it's I think that Lion Chief 2.0 is a great idea. It's virtually just Legacy Mini, and it's a really good idea for replacing the Rail King line. But it's still $400 more. Lion Chief 2.0 cab forward is still $400 more expensive than a Rail King one was. Shame to see Rail King leaving the market. But I can't wait to see them. But Lionel has done this weird thing where they release a Lion Chief 2.0 engine like within a couple of weeks of like MTH delivering a locomotive, like of the same locomotive, a Rail King version of the same locomotive. Sorry. Like they did the Alleghenies, and like within the pre-order time frame, MTH delivered a set of Rail King Alleghenies. So they canceled that production of it because everybody who wanted a cheap Allegheny already bought their Alleghenies. And within 3 weeks of Lionel's 2020 Volume 2 catalog, they MTH delivered Rail King cab forwards. I don't know. It's strange marketing by Lionel. Rebuild, just make it. Yeah, I mean, Michael definitely has a great point. Think about how much we're struggling with all our modern technology to build a T1, and you have, these companies back in the 40s and 50s that were able to build these things in a matter of weeks and months. It's really quite impressive. Christopher says, Lion Chief, it's just like Lion Scale. I get what you're trying to say. Lion Scale is just a cheaper version of Scale products made by Lionel. But it's also, it's not scale in size. Bernsey says that he thinks that T1s were never pushed to their true ability. Steam is on its way out. All right, last comment on the T1 because the chat has devolved into a T1 debate. You can make that argument, but at the end of the day, the T1 wasn't as efficient as a diesel locomotive and had a lot more problems. Joe asks, "What's my favorite YouTube channel?" In the non-O-scale modeling world, it's Jeff Marshall, who does a lot of London and British rail stuff. He puts, Joe knows. We stop everything to watch one of his videos when it comes out. Favorite O-scale YouTuber? I really love PGH Train Fanatics layout, minus his terrible bias towards Pennsylvania Railroad. I really like PGH Train Fanatics layout. Also, Jason, he has a great channel. Love watching his videos, especially with all of his MTH engines. If you watch our podcast episode with him, we tease him about that a bit. Yeah, Joe, Jeff Marshall is amazing. You drop everything. If you see a Jeff Marshall video, you stop everything. And I actually just filmed a Jeff Marshall style video, which is faster. He does usually like London Tube versus the Overground. Well, today I filmed a video which is faster, the DC Subway or Virginia Railway Express, which is a commuter railroad here in the DC area. So I'm going to take my time editing that one because I want it to be perfect, but be on the lookout for that in the future. Maddie C., What's one engine from MTH that you would have liked to see before he made the announcement that he was going to close his doors? G5. Come on, man. If we're talking new tooling, I prefer MTH's Proto Sounds to Lionel Legacy, but then again, I've never operated a Legacy locomotive. But that's just me. I think the Crew Talk's better on MTH, and I'm a big Crew Talk guy. But with that being the case, going through Long Island Railroad locomotives, M7 and MTH. Don't know how they would make it. It'd probably look terrible, but I'd be in for one of those from MTH. Oh, and the MP54s from MTH. They haven't made those in forever. All right, Joe X, Mark or VRE. So what I did was it was VRE to Franconia Springfield, and I had my girlfriend. She rode Metro, so you'll get to see which one's faster. Is the subway faster or commuter rail? Omega Gauge and N Scale Railroad says line scale is a joke. Why pay $60 for a car with minimum detail when you can get an MTH Premier car with high detail for the same price? Even though MTH is going to be gone soon, you can still get them used. That's a really good point, and I think that's why we haven't seen a lot of Lionel scale stuff in recent years. I think they really started to phase out the line scale stuff, 2018 or so, because they saw it wasn't selling, and now we're back to Lionel Standard O, which is half to compete with Menards. You can get a scale freight car for $30, which I think is a lot better deal, and you can use it at you can get it at a much more affordable price. Which will win? Which is better, Mark or VRE? VRE is much cleaner. I like their gallery cars much better than I like Mark's. But Mark's can get you more places, and it's more reliable. And I find that Mark is a lot cheaper than VRE because it's more subsidized by the Maryland government. For now, at least. It's not the subway, it's the Metro. Yes, it's the subway, it's the Metro, but for everybody outside of the DC region, it's easier to call it a subway. Even though it's, as I like to call it, DC Metro is the world's worst subway, the world's best commuter railroad. It's all right, Ken. Better late than never. Thanks for stopping in. Hamburg Rail Fan asks, what's my favorite foreign engine? I would say Flying Scotsman, but that's such a general answer. Yeah, we're just going to go with the Flying Scotsman. That was a great locomotive, and it even came to the United States, so that's really cool. Oh, Bob, you got in your FedEx building. I can't wait to see that. Yeah, but I'm thinking about getting that for my layout. I just have nowhere where I can fit it. And Joe, I like Metro. I said at the beginning that I think that DC Metro is great public transit. It's the cleanest public transit you'll probably find in the country. But with this pandemic and stuff, it's hurting for every public transit, and it also stinks when you have a train that comes every 30 minutes on the weekends due to track work. Joe, what's your dream Amtrak route that currently isn't being served? Well, if I had my way, I would run Amtrak from Nashville to Knoxville, Chattanooga to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta south into Florida, and then from Nashville north to Chicago via Cincinnati and Indianapolis. But that was actually kind of a route that Amtrak ran a few years ago, back in the late 70s. I think that that area of the country is really underserved when it comes to passenger rail, and I think it's ripe for the taking for passenger rail. You can get a lot of people to big cities quick and back at night, if they want to take a day trip, which I think would be really good, and Amtrak looking forward should really look at, inner city rail compared to, long distance rail. Ah, Bob, it's not shipped yet. You'll get it soon, I'm sure. And it's got the moving forklift and everything. It's a really cool building. I love all my Menards buildings. I would also like to see another Amtrak auto train come about. It'd be really difficult because I don't think you'd see the demand from anywhere, but besides from the Northeast to Florida for moving cars. But it's a really good concept. Good question, Bob. If you were a manufacturer and able to make a major change in the hobby, what would that be? And of course, I would say, you need to make it more affordable. It's really tough when you're an O scale and you're competing against, just even HO alone, where you can buy a starter set for less than $100. But I think right now what Lionel needs to do is more visibility. Um, you know, Back in the day, you used to see, Johnny Cash playing with Lionel Trains on TV at night, and you had Johnny Carson talking about Lionel Trains during his talk show. And, you turn on the TV, you don't see a Lionel Train commercial. Wait, when you go onto YouTube, you don't see a Lionel Train commercial. How are you reaching kids? Maybe you see, a battery operated train at a Costco or a Target in the months before Christmas. Macy's on the beforehand, they would, put in a couple Lionel train sets. But, Lionel needs to be speaking directly to consumers about why their product. And Lionel has a really good product, which is a lot more affordable than what it's been, the last few years. Especially, you can get a starter set for less than $200. And, Lionel's other problem, I think, this is also going to my Lion Chief video. But there's no second step. Lion Chief 2.0 is supposed to be a second. Lion Chief was supposed to be a second step into the hobby. But if you're a parent and you have the option of buying a Lion Chief locomotive for $300, which it's clearance price, $300, or you can buy your kid another starter set for $200 that comes with a loop of track and 4 freight cars. What are you going to buy? You're going to buy a second starter set. And now Lion Chief's kind of being phased out in favor of Lion Chief 2.0, really. There's only been 2 locomotives debuted in the last 2 catalogs with Lion Chief Plus. And that would be the 080s and the GP38s. And they're selling for around $200, which I think is a much better price. But at the end of the day, I'd still rather get a starter set for $50 more. And now Lion Chief 2.0, if that's supposed to be that second step up, it's over $1,000 for a steam locomotive. I don't see how that's attainable. $225 for a switcher, that works, but not for a daylight, not for a cab forward. I mean. Michael asked who I still sing along with the Polar Express. Hot Hot Chocolate, that would always be a banger, but, when the Josh Groban song comes on the radio, that's a top Christmas song. Bob says, Sheldon on Big Bang, he had a Lionel train set. Lucy Ball had a Lionel trains on her show, and Rod Stewart has a huge layout. Yeah, I mean... But and also there's an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine where one of the main characters is playing with a old Lionel post-war set. But, how many people are like, oh, that would be something cool for my kids. It's, people think of it more as a novelty. You have to show off the Lion Chief and the sounds and the smoke and how it's, a kid-friendly interface. And I don't know how Lionel does that. Do you market towards parents? Do you market towards kids? But they need to market. I don't think they're marketing as well as they should. Dingus asks, if you could have grown up as a rail fan in any other country or city, what country or city would you have been? It's just, Altoona, Pennsylvania. You got everything coming through there. Yes, and Gomez Adams, he blew up his Lionel train set. That still a classic scene that resonates with many people today. Product placement in movies or shows. I mean, product placement for a model train manufacturer and from like Coca-Cola or a car company is a lot different, because if you show off a car, you show off the logo. You see an actor drinking a bottle of Coca-Cola, you see the Coca-Cola logo. Unless in the movie they're saying, oh, look at my brand new Lionel train set, and showing off, choo choo, um, I think that you're not putting it in a good spot. Yeah, Bob, he brings up a good point. Nobody's going to drop 550 on a starter set, and that was a real problem that MTH was having, because they were equipping their engines with ProtoSound 3, the same electronics that comes in their Premier line tooling. An MTH starter set was in the neighborhood of $440. How are you gonna? You can't really sell an MTH starter set for $440 when Lionel can put one out for $230, and you hardly see MTH make any new starter sets in the last 6 or so years. Even before they were getting ready to close up shop. But my main point before is that how many people are going to buy their kid a $300 locomotive when they can buy their kid a $250 set? Lionel's got to come down with their prices somehow, which is what they're doing. They're using the Oito, the 442s, and the like GP38s and whatnot, because they can make those for cheap. But still, $200, there's not much wiggle room for parents. All right, Joe, have a good night. Thanks for stopping in. I'll talk to you soon. And thank you. Yes, Homburg. Frank Sinatra, big Lionel fan. He was telling this story one time that his mom pawned her wedding ring to buy him a Lionel train set for Christmas one year. And eventually, when he got rich and famous at his ranch in California, he built a shed in the shape of a caboose for his train layout. And there's a good video by TM Books that's free on Amazon with Amazon Prime up on Amazon about it. And it's really good. And they still have that layout operating today for visitors who come and see his ranch. All right, guys. So I've been live for about an hour now. So, I have plenty of stuff I still need to do tonight before, calling it a night. But, I just figured I'd give, an hour talking to you guys. So if you guys have any final questions that you want to ask, now would be the time to do that. But now that I probably have more people here watching, I just want to thank you guys all again for 800 subscribers. It's really, really just a huge milestone for me, and I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully we get to 1,000 soon, start making a couple, dollar here or two there on YouTube. And every dollar that I make here on my YouTube channel from ad revenue, it's going to go right back into the channel, producing, more adventurous videos, more travel videos, but also, fixing up the layout. Every dollar, bottom line is, every dollar that comes from this channel gets put right back into the channel. Of course, Matt. Matt says, "Can you shed some light on the Model Train Talk podcast?" So that's a podcast that I co-host with Sam's OVH Trains, and really it's his podcast. He puts all the work into it. He edits. I'm just there to help get the conversation flowing along. But our main goal is just to create a community, especially amongst us younger O-scalers here on YouTube. And so we usually talk all things model railroading, how'd you get involved in the hobby? What do you like about the hobby? What do you want to do with your layout? Why do you like your collection? And also it really helps smaller YouTubers grow their community. And it's just at the end of the day, it's really just 3, 4, 5, 6 guys talking about trains for an hour, which you can't really beat that anytime, anywhere. But if someone wants to drop a link to it in the description, I'll see if I can do it real quick. But I'll leave a link to it. Go check out the Model Train Talk podcast. We've got about 13 episodes up already, and it's really good. We have a lot of great feedback from it. Model Train Talk podcast, and you've got plenty of episodes to listen to already. There isn't a bad one. Yeah, Jason, you are considered young. We talked about that. We bleeped out your age. Yeah, Ken, that's a really good point. I'd rather, my future children play with a Lionel train than a video game. And, that's what my parents did. They bought me a train set, for Christmas or my birthday instead of a video game console. And I really learned a lot from it. Carpentry skills, electrical skills. You can learn a lot more from model railroading about life than you can a video game. And so I just dropped the link to the Model Train Talk podcast there in the chat. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go check it out. Subscribe. We're up to like 150 something subscribers, and we have 18 videos up and 13, 14 great conversations with people from all over the hobby. Yeah, Bob puts it perfectly. Jason, you're a young veteran. Yeah. Thank you, Hamburger fan. You're watching all of them, 9 down so far. And our last one came out on Friday, and a lot of great talk. If you liked a lot of the things I talked about tonight, we also talked about that on that podcast. You get a lot more opinions, and you got 3 Long Islanders on that call, which is always good. The more Long Islanders, the more accents you have. But also going along the podcast as I'm wrapping up here, unfortunately right now, Sam and I, both of our lives are pretty busy right now with school. I'm currently working a part-time job, got to pay for the train bill somehow. And Sam, he's a Division I swimmer, so he's quite busy with practices. And, we're both really busy, but, whenever we have an hour to put aside, we try our best to record a podcast. And Sam really puts a lot of work into it. And make sure you go check out Sam's channel. He's closing in on 300 subscribers, so maybe we can get him to 300 subscribers. But yeah, all around great stuff. Go check out Sam's channel. He's also an editing whiz. All right, and if you guys have any final questions, if you want to put them in the chat now. All right, guys. So, Kelly says, do you recommend any good books for DCS wiring in O scale? There's actually like 3 really good books out there about DCS, and if you just Google DCS book, there's a comprehensive how-to on how to DCS wiring. Joe, back briefly. Joe, I'm about to end it. Of course you come back now. Strasburg Railfan, names of channels that you recommend. Sam's O-Gauge Railroading, my podcast co-host. Check out the Model Train Talk podcast. Matt's Trains and Tractors. He's really starting to dedicate himself to YouTube. He's got a great collection, great videos, great layout. Sid of Sid's Trains, he's got like over 1,000 subscribers, but he's starting to do some layout progress work. I probably just spoiled that, but go check that out. Hello, GFW Trains. They have another great channel, great live streams. Cross Anchors Railroad, they do live streams 3 days a week. They've got an awesome collection, and they're gonna get some layout work started, I'm sure, in the near future. Go check out their channel. There's just so many. God bless Ogage. Yes, Matt. There's a million other channels I wish I could name right now off the top of my head, but I really can't. But go out there and find the smaller YouTubes out there. You know, not the guys with 5,000 subscribers. No offense, Jason. But go subscribe to Jason if you haven't already. And if you haven't, you're living under a rock. But find the guys with 100, 200 subscribers who are just starting out there. You know, one subscriber really makes them go a long way, and it helps them out. And there are a lot of people out there making great videos and don't have a lot of followers. So pay attention to them, not as much as you do, you know, Eric Siegel. You know, pay attention to the little guys as well. Bob X, where'd you get your barn from? I got that from PGH Train Fanatics eBay store. He makes a lot of great flats. All right, Krasenko says 2 days a week, but thanks. I have another show to create. Matty C, he has some great videos on his channel, but he you know, he doesn't post all that often, but he has some great videos up. Also, Burnsy has an amazing collection. I'm sure he's going to get some layout work started in the near future. He's been talking in the chat tonight, and he's only got like 60 subscribers. I don't know how, but I'm sure we can work on that with him. I'm glad I'm giving you a good laugh tonight, Jason. We all need one every once in a while. Yeah, you know, Cross Anchors, he's been really reaching out. Well, you know, they've been really reaching out to different guys out there, interviewing them with a smaller sub count, which I give them a lot of props for, and making sure that the little guys get their voices heard. It's the Mets logo still in the water tower. I think I missed it. Yes, it's still there. It's probably been there for 7 or 8 years now. I got that off of some gift card I got at Citi Field one time. I said everybody get your last comments in, and now the chat goes off. All right, well, I'll stick around. Oh, Burnsy, you missed it. I was just talking about you. Now you're going to have to go back and watch. Do not let Sid run your train. Team loves blue, the East Power Coast grid up, triple heading a T1, S2, and Centipede. He's got 2 of my trains held hostage right now. I talked about them in a previous episode, but I plan on doing a full video. On those engines that I got. Yes, Michael. Go check out Michael, and also check out his Instagram. He's got an amazing small layout, and he's got some amazing stuff. Sorry, Michael. My mind's going at you. I got put on the spot there. I was going to miss someone. Uh-oh. Messed up there. All right. Sid also repairs as well. I heard he's really good at that. He really is good at that. So my Long Island H16-44, it came out in my last video about the work train. I ran it in that one, so you know what locomotive I'm talking about. He installed TMCC, electrocouplers, the whole 9 yards in it. And so now it has speed control, and it's going to be a really fun locomotive to run. Originally, it was conventional controlled. He also installed a smoke unit in it. And he also took a 1992 Lionel by MTH, a Lionel by MTH Mikado, Southern Mikado 4501. It's actually still in operation at the Tennessee Valley Railway Museum. Really cool model, but it was broken at the hobby store. We picked it up for a dirt cheap price. He installed TMCC, smoke unit, fixed a bunch of broken parts, and he's got that thing looking brand new. And that's another thing that's coming back to my layout when I go back for Thanksgiving. And rumor has it that Sid did some work. I heard from Cross Anchors Railroad, and rumor has it there should be a video coming about that soon. I don't know if Michael has a YouTube channel, and I feel really bad that I don't know if he does. But he has an Instagram page, which I can throw a link to in the chat. He's got a really great layout out there. I'm extremely jealous of his Lionel H10 that he's got. And Mike, he puts up like 4-minute videos, basically YouTube videos up on Instagram, and it's always nice seeing trains running around his layout. And if you like the Bard scene on my layout, you're in store because he's got one on it too. Sid could put Odyssey speed control on your GG1. If you want to check him out, it's Sid's Trains on YouTube. I'm sure you can connect with him that way, and it's also Sydney's Trains on Instagram. Yes, James Trains and Ben's Trains, also 2 other really good channels. Crossing. Yes, Ben's Trains. He does a lot of post-war stuff and pre-war stuff. It's really fascinating, that there are younger guys like us in a post-war. And Sam, he does a lot of post-war. He just picked up a couple of really nice post-war locomotives, actually, from Sid. And I need to be corrected for something I said earlier. The Long Island Railroad gantry for the water floats it's in Queens, not Brooklyn, as my friends are letting me know on my phone. More plugs. Iron Fox, yes, Iron Fox, another really good channel. Now I feel bad. I couldn't remember these names off the top of my head, but there's a lot of really good channels out there, and it's a lot of people who deserve more recognition than they get. And that's really what we're also trying to do with the Model Train Talk podcast, getting these people the recognition they deserve. We actually had Sam had Ben on an episode of Model Train Talk podcast. I believe that was episode 3. Or maybe we haven't had him on yet. I may be going crazy, but I know we were trying to get him on the podcast at the very least. I have a lot of water towers. Yes, I have a lot of water towers. I don't know why I like them. It just adds height to the layout. But no Long Island Railroad billboards. Maybe one day. Matt Penn was like episode 9, I believe. Yes. Oh, yes, because I was already co-host at that time, but I couldn't make that stream. All right, thanks, guys. See, you guys know my own podcast better than I do. Iron Fox is going to be building his layout soon. Him and another friend on the Discord came to my house, and we ran some pretty nice models. See, that's great. Coming together and running some trains. And it's always fun watching layout updates and layout work. Oh, cross anchors. Yes, Stephen Colferl. Steve's not watching this tonight. He's busy. He reached out to me, but Steven, he actually lives very close to me back on Long Island. He's an amazing guy. I've learned a ton from him. He's just an amazing person to talk to, about model trains. He's really helped me out a lot in the hobby, and I've only met him. I've only known him for a few months at this point. I always try and check up, see how he's doing, and when I'm back home, I try and visit him once a week just to see how he's doing. He's got an amazing collection. He's got post-war, tin plate, pre-war, modern stuff. He's getting into the legacy stuff again now. His collection's unbeatable. From ceiling to floor, you got trains. Let me put his channel into the chat as well, because he's at 130 something subscribers. If you like model trains, you're gonna like Steven's channel, whether it's even if you're an HO guy or whatnot. Steve's channel is just amazing. He's really busy now, so the videos aren't coming as frequently, but I know that he wants to get back out there. But I really owe him a lot, and he's been a really good mentor for me in this hobby, and he's taught me a lot, and I've got a lot more lessons to learn. He's actually also, he's building a post-war inspired layout right now. It's like 3 levels. He posted the first video about it a couple weeks ago, and he's and it's really coming together nice. I'm hoping I'll be able to get down there and help him out with the layout a little, just to learn firsthand on building layouts from him, because he's a master layout builder. But without a doubt, go check out Steve's channel. He did that 124 subs. Go check him out. And as you can probably see by now, I dropped a link for it in the chat there. Hamburg Rail fan, he says Nassau Line Out operating engineers. Yep, I was just about to say we have a member in the chat right now. Matt's a member, and I'm looking to do a video about their club sometime in December. So I think Matt and I and a couple of a past podcast guest, Greg, along with our friend Blake. I think we're all going to try and get together and film a video at the club in December sometime. Yes, cross anchors. I'd mentioned Burnsy earlier. Yep, that's another good one. All right, guys. So unfortunately, I'm having a great time, but I got a lot of work I still need to do tonight. So fortunately, I'm going to cut the live stream. But this was really enjoyable. All right. The Nassau Line Out Operating Engineer Society, it's in Levittown, New York on Long Island. Yep, Matt's got it. Anyways, I'm going to have to wrap up the stream for tonight. Thank you so much for everybody who came. Thank you for 800 subscribers. It's a huge milestone. And let's get to 1,000 sometime soon. I think that would be fun. Maybe we'll do something special for 1,000. And who knows, maybe I'll do these live streams more often. This is really enjoyable, and talking with you guys was great. I wish I could, sit down and talk with all of you guys one-on-one or something. But, this is the best we can do for now. But with that, take care, everybody. Make sure you're staying safe with the everything that's going on, and just keep chugging. All right, take care, guys.